Hey everybody, Daniel from Spacedock here, and today I'm going to be doing a short unscripted video regarding some ships from Killjoys, the Space Channel and Sci-Fi Channel series about space bounty hunters. It's very good. The first 2 seasons are available on Netflix. If you've not seen the show, I'd recommend checking it out. It's good, comfy viewing, got a lot of sort of Firefly, space western vibes. It's a lot of fun. You can't really go wrong with space bounty hunters. So, to kick things off, we have the RAC Cruiser. For those that haven't seen the show, the RAC is the Reclamation Apprehension Coalition, which is a sort of private bounty hunter agency, and they operate a number of these massive ships around the star cluster in which the show is set, each of which serves as the forward base for a certain solar system. This is a design, it took me a while to pin down what it reminded me of, and what it is the Alliance capital ships from Firefly, where it's kind of like busy and asymmetrical, and it's got lots of green lighting and particle effects all over it. It's very interesting. These things, I kind of understand the way they look, because they basically never move, to the point where the characters sometimes call them stations, even though they are ships. But all this really is a kind of functional place to go and refuel smaller ships and have accommodation and storage and like brigs and things for all of the smaller bounty hunter teams who have their own ships. These things, like, you never really see them all meet up and move somewhere as a fleet or whatever. They're basically stations. So I can buy the idea that they've just been built onto, and it's just an office block in space, basically. Whatever works, just stick more modules onto it and expand whatever you need in whatever direction. So it certainly seems like a very utilitarian, grounded design. At the top of the aft tower there is the large hangar bay, and I've got some images here. You can see the interior of that. A lot of this kind of techno sort of Tron green lighting stuff reminds me of the Geth Heretic station from Mass Effect 2, where everything's kind of like, you can see all the electrical lines glowing and all the connections between the servers, etc. The interior of this ship is kind of like stark white and very nicely laid out. One thing that this show does very well is it manages to take what it can use as sets, so like factories and wherever they can film in and stuff, and rather convincingly turn them into good interior sets. And when they have got a bit of a budget to throw around, like with the hero ship Lucy, they manage to make really nice interiors. Like, I love the interior of Lucy, and the interior of this ship is pretty cool. So here we have the Falcon class pursuit craft used by the Black Root. This is basically like a sort of secret police pursuit vehicle enforcement craft kind of thing. At first, I didn't really have anything to remark about this ship. It's just kind of like your standard jet fighter in space situation, but when it starts to move around on screen and you get some looks at it from different angles, it actually does sort of behave on screen really well. I really like the 4 engines at the back, and it just looks good moving around. The shot that I've used here is from Season 3, when this ship drops off a sort of beacon into space, and we get a nice flyby. The show doesn't have quite a lot of long beauty shots for the ships. It tends to be very rapidly edited, so you don't really get like a long fly around look at the ships very often. And this was one shot where we got a nice look at the ship, and I think it does look very cool from the top-down view like that. Later on, we see some far more ancient variants on the same design that existed hundreds of years previous and were like hidden, and they're kind of the same, but they have a color scheme that I don't like as much. I quite like this sort of brightly colored white and black type thing for this one. It looks very good. It reminds me a little of the Avenger from Star Citizen as it is in its current concept, although I think I might like this a little bit more actually, because it's a little less kind of curved. I quite like the straight edges of this design. The interior, quite like the RAC ship, is just sort of stark white and sparse, which makes a lot of sense in the context of the story and the faction. And I quite like how later on when we see the older ones, there's a lot of kind of alien vibes to it all. It's very mysterious, and we know that those ones have jump drives as well, which is quite cool. So it's quite interesting to see the characters slowly sussing out what everything does and what everything means in this kind of brightly lit, mysterious environment. So last up, we've got the star of the show, Lucy. Now this is an education in how to design a hero ship. It's just a gorgeous ship. This is a great job, really is brilliant. I love this ship to bits. It's got so much style to it, and it's got that fantastic kind of Star Wars used universe aesthetic, but it's kind of hybridized with this like manta ray, vaguely alienish kind of twinge to it, and it's great. I really like this design. You can see the kind of echoes of Serenity and stuff in there with the large engine nacelles. The one thing I wish this ship had, I'd quite like it if it had engines on the front and back of those nacelles so that they could fire in sequence and do kind of cool flat spin maneuvers, but you know, like I said, there's not too many any exterior spaceship shots in this show, so it doesn't really make much difference either way. But this is just a really nice design, because it's not a freighter or anything. A lot of the time when you get kind of these space criminal, space smuggler stories, you get like a freighter or something as the main ship. And this is kind of a fast pursuit lawman in space ship, whilst still being a kind of homely design. And I'll put some images up of the interior now, because I love the interior of this ship. It's great. It's one of my favorite interiors for a sci-fi ship I've ever seen, because it's like, I can't get over seeing kind of cozy, homely elements like seamlessly worked into the sci-fi setting, and this show does it perfectly with this design. It's kind of, it's something that you see a bit in the Normandy in Mass Effect, and you kind of see it a little bit in other places, and again in Firefly, but this really nails it here. It's just got so much style to it. I wish we had a few more sequences of this thing firing its weapons and involved in combat and stuff, and maybe we'll get that in future seasons. But it is just a joy to watch this thing fly around. It has a wonderful motion to it on screen. And also, its internal deck layout is extremely sensible, and like you can kind of tell how they've used like every square inch of the internal volume of this ship to maximum effect, because there's like really well placed ladder pits and stuff, and everything's kind of stacked on top of each other and packed together, but it doesn't feel horribly cramped or anything. It's just sort of like a utilitarian, sensible design, very much like the Tempest from Mass Effect Andromeda. And also, to expand on that comparison, Lucy also has a deployable ground vehicle, a rover, called the Rambler. And one thing I will say, I'm not entirely sure how this thing gets out of the ship, because the door, the cargo hold door, is like just about wide enough for like two characters to walk through shoulder to shoulder. So there's no way they're driving that vehicle through it. So I guess maybe the whole floor of the cargo bay like drops down like a lift or something. That would be the most logical way to do it. But we never actually see it unloaded. It's just sort of cuts to the next shot, and the Rambler is out of the ship. Killjoys is very much a get-to-the-point show. Like, it hasn't got time for that kind of stuff. It's just keep moving all the time, which is fair enough. I can respect that. I mean, there's only a certain number of people who are sitting here like me, waiting for the fascinating 2-minute sequence of them slowly unloading the ATV from their ship. But yeah, excellent design, really cool-looking space bounty hunter pursuit vehicle ship. And, I mean, you can tell from this image here, I expect there will be very few people who don't think this is a great-looking ship. It'd be right at home alongside IG-88's ship and all the kind of, like, classic Star Wars bounty hunter ships that you saw. Great design, and if you've not seen the show, I heartily recommend that you go and check it out. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off. Thank you for watching Spacedock. Please remember to like, subscribe and share for more science fiction spacecraft summaries. If you enjoy the channel, why not consider pledging your support on Patreon? For just $1 a month, you'll be able to access the Spacedock schedule to see what's coming up.